Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film somehow related in some shape or form. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you have two films to go check out. And it is indeed the first Thursday of the month. So my wife, Jess, is joining me, and we're getting a bit of the holiday spirit as we enter here into December. But Jess, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome, Shane.
And Jess picked Jingle All the Way, and I picked Home Alone. So let's get started with some Christmas cheer, or less cheer, in terms of Jingle All the Way.
Nostalgia, maybe.
This is 1996 Arnold Schwarzenegger holiday comedy. But Jess, what are your general thoughts on Jingle All the Way?
Look, is it an objectively great movie? Probably not, but I always have fun with it.
It is a legitimately funny movie.
I feel like every year we watch this, because it feels like we've been watching this every year for the past few years, but every year I watch this, I feel like we get further and further away from the great Black Friday tradition of just beating the hell out of each other. So in a few years, people might not understand it all.
Yeah.
Things used to be that way.
You know, when everybody's just ordering stuff off of Amazon,
Yeah, it's not a bad
because
thing.
there are one true Lord. And there's only one option.
Hail Bezos.
Hail Bezos. But no, this is a story about a absentee father who works very hard at his job.
You're
and
my
not
number one customer.
You're my number one customer. But not at his marriage or being a father. So
they're not his number one customers, let's be clear.
No. And he winds up having to go out to find Turbo Man, who is like, it was like the Tickle Me Elmo
or Furby
my of
mom,
this movie.
She won't admit to it, but I think she may have fought people to get me a Furby in, what was that, 97? She did, though.
Well, so this was like the coolest action figure, and they set it up at the beginning of the movie with this episode of like the Turbo Man show or whatever, which has Harvey Korman playing the president of the United States randomly. Very randomly. But this film really comes down to it's Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to get this doll. He has an antagonist played by Sinbad. You know how
he's a mailman.
You know how mid 90s, early and late 90s this was, that Sinbad was in this for sure. And then you have Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks's wife, plays Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife, and you have Phil Hartman, who's the piece of shit neighbor Ted.
Oh my god, Ted.
Who's just trying to get in on the action. God, Phil Hartman was so great and so funny. There's so many funny things about this movie because, like, well, first off, it's Arnold really selling so many great lines. Put the cookie down, or Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen.
There's so much unhinged behavior in this movie.
Yes, this movie is dialed up to 11. Everybody's overacting, for sure. Like,
whatever, that's what we want.
And even like a pro wrestling fan like myself, Paul White, aka The Big Show, aka The Giant, at this point, because he's in WCW, shows up as a giant Santa. He's like, "I'm gonna deck your halls, bub."
Oh yeah, he's in the bootleg factory.
Right? Yes. And Jim Belushi is the trashy criminal Santa running this ring of counterfeit goods and stuff like that. It's just wild. And you have like TV's Robert Conrad, who's this one police officer who keeps having run-ins with. And it's just shenanigans. Like,
it's silly, whatever, have fun with it.
Yeah, the movie is about an hour and 29 minutes. It's very episodic. It's like one series of unfortunate events after another. And I feel like the cast really makes it, because like Sinbad's so much fun. He is this mailman. Ridiculous. He's like, you know what's in this? A bomb. And then like it actually blows up. Yes. And it blows up like, that was an actual bomb. Sick world we live in with people in it.
That was like package number 3, right? Because he keeps pulling out different packages and saying it's a bomb.
And like that whole sequence, Phil Hartman is just endlessly quotable. Like, oh, your wife's cookies are so good. It's like, oh, I got my Turbo Man. It's nestled safely under the tree. And just like how smug he is. and how schmoozing he is. And it's such a great payoff when he gets eggnogged into the face. He's such an asshole. And then this gets ridiculous in the third act because then it's a parade. Arnold actually dresses up as Turbo
They
Man,
think
and
he's the Turbo Man guy.
which also, why did they not make an actual Turbo Man movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it? Because
I mean, good question.
I feel like they missed out, and like Sinbad kidnaps the guy who plays the villain, and he
Oh yeah, he's
dresses
the
up.
villain. Yeah, they have a superhero fight or
They do
whatever.
indeed have a superhero fight, and the horrible cheesy special effects with the jetpack and stuff like
Again,
that.
whatever, it's dumb. Have fun with it.
Yeah, this movie is dumb. It is ridiculous. Maybe a little mean spirited at times, but like it's the kind of thing where it's just like this is silly, ridiculous comedy made for the holidays.
It satirizes that,
Everybody knows the assignment. Everybody's acting how they should be. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger is hamming it up, throwing one liner after one liner
Yep.
after one liner,
Yep.
just out at everything. And like if you don't at least laugh sometimes, I don't know what to tell you. This is a funny movie. I had this on VHS.
Oh my
I've watched
god.
this so many times to the point where my buddy Bobby, hi Bobby, called me when we were watching this, and then we just started quoting the movie back and forth at each other on the phone because he has also watched this movie a ridiculous amount of
I
times.
never watched it till I was an adult.
Oh no, I watched this a lot.
So it's not even nostalgia for me. It's just silliness.
It is silly, and if you want to divert yourself for like 90 minutes, have some laughs, and hear Arnold in his inexplicably Austrian accent.
Yep.
Which this is how you do it. You don't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
He could have been like an exchange student who really liked the Twin Cities and just stayed in America. He doesn't need to put on an accent.
No.
Liam Neeson needs to do more of that. Because like his accent's coming in. Who cares? He's just randomly Irish. Just accept it. It's
America
fine.
has all kinds.
Exactly. But Jess, do you have any other thoughts on Jingle All the Way?
No, I don't think there's too many layers to get into there.
No, this is not a film with layers.
Who cares? Enjoy it.
It's just a film with a lot of laughs.
Love that.
And now we're going to talk about the worst parents in movie history, and that is 1990's Home Alone, because the McAllisters suck. But Jess, what are your thoughts on Chris Columbus's Home Alone?
Every time I watch this, I feel like I get more judgmental of his parents because when you're a kid, I saw this when I was a kid. Obviously, like most people have.
Yeah.
It's fine if you didn't, but I remember thinking like, yeah, take it to that would be so cool to be home alone. Love all this. And as an adult, I'm like horrified about that. I mean, thank God for the guy next door.
Yeah. The scary old man who winds up being really, really nice and having a heart of gold.
I love him.
He just made some mistakes.
He did. And like, I get that. The holidays are really hard for people who are, estranged from their family for various reasons. And it, always warms my heart when they reunite in the end. Sorry, the spoilers for a 34-year-old movie.
Yes, it's almost 35. It's old.
I know, don't do that to me.
I know what we'll be doing next holiday season, 35th anniversary of Home Alone.
I also think it's really funny seeing Kieran Culkin in it and like knowing they're actually siblings, because I feel like for me it puts a different light on him just being a little shit ass kid to his brother. Because you can see how smug he is about being the baby and like getting away with
Who's
stuff.
the one that pees in his bed?
Yeah.
Yes, specifically.
Exactly. Like you can see he's like
I think some important things to throw out first. One, Chris Columbus really knows how to make a heartwarming, feel-good film. He made the first two Harry Potter films. He made this, and he is not Christopher Columbus, so that's a plus. He's produced a lot of things. This is written by John Hughes. So like John Hughes made amazing work throughout the 80s into the early 90s. And it's no wonder that they got John Candy to show up for next to nothing, to just show up in this extended cameo. He's the polka king of the Midwest.
Flashbacks for me.
Yep. And Also, John Williams scored this because the score is amazing.
Yeah, it goes hard.
Like the score doesn't need to go that hard, but it does because John Williams and it's fantastic.
It is. It's great. It's very Christmassy.
This movie is heartwarming. It's sharply funny. We'll get to the McAllisters in a second. But like
What
even
bandits would have died like 100 times over?
even like the fake movie.
Oh yeah, what is it? Angels Without.
It's like it's like keep the change, you filthy animal. It's just it's so funny because I know so many people probably were like, I want to watch this movie.
Yeah, I
And
thought it
then
was a real movie for
how
like the
sad it is
longest
to
time.
find out that it was a fake movie for this movie. But no, first off, the McAllisters are terrible people.
Yeah.
And like
Tell me he's not the favorite child.
how rich do you have to be this aloof
Yeah.
about your children? Which
Just a
also
nanny at this point.
they're loaded
Oh yeah.
for sure.
The house is oof.
And
Can't even afford to look at it.
like this whole entire thing is just absolutely ridiculous. And like obviously there's a whole bunch of dominoes that fall for this to happen. And the fact that they did not in fact they didn't double check more
They
than
count.
once.
Here's the thing: they count their children, which like I feel like maybe go by name. That might be a better
Like
strategy.
it's like your family, I would hope that you'd be able to figure out all the names of the people who are supposed to be on this trip.
Again, hire a nanny.
All you had to do was like scream out names. Scream out Kevin. You didn't hear Kevin.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't move forward to go.
Or like take attendance before they get in the car. Like empty the van out, put them all in there. Can you tell I work
Well,
with
no,
children for a
they
living?
put one of the kids in charge because they can't be
Oh
bothered
my
with it
god.
to count them, and you had the little neighbor kid who was like in the group of kids, and they just counted.
Good for him.
But whatever. But
Yeah, you don't know the difference between your own child and the neighbor kid.
Macaulay Culkin gives one of like the best child performances ever. It's like insanely
Yeah.
charismatic, so much fun. Kevin is a little shit, but
So
I
from
well,
a lot of kids.
I think a lot of that has to do with his environment that he's being raised in
Oh yeah.
is ridiculous. And like being the kid that only ate cheese pizza, I would have also been really upset.
Yeah,
And
like that really, I mean, they're just not managing that household.
no, that they're completely
He's
unchecked and just everything is so mean. This whole family's mean spirited.
yeah.
Like the whole entire opening section of this movie is kind of unbearable because it's just like you all suck.
He doesn't get any individual attention at all.
Mm-mm. And it makes me sad because it's Catherine O'Hara.
I know. We wanted better from
Who's a
you.
better mother, Kate McAllister or Moira?
Definitely Moira. At
Which
least
is
she knows
sad.
her kids' names
Yes.
and how many she has. I thought you were gonna say, what's her face? The Dietz
Dietz.
from
Also, that's another one.
Honestly, I respect her in that movie because she knows who she is. She doesn't try to be anybody else. She doesn't try to be a caring stepmother or whatever. She's like, here I am. Take me or leave me.
It's one of those kinds of things where it's just like, this is absolutely ridiculous. But then once they leave and we get into like this movie's so much fun watching him doing all these shenanigans. Like so many things are iconic, like the aftershave and him like
Oh yeah,
screaming and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yep.
The sled going down the steps to the outside. And then him slowly growing up's a nice arc where he like just casually chatting with the cashier
Yeah.
and is able to buy like a whole entire
He gets
bag's
his
worth of
groceries.
things for like $20.
I love that the bags break on the way home because like who among us has not dealt with that?
Had those
That
moments.
probably aged him by at least 10 years.
And like having like the moments with the heater in like the basement.
Yeah, I had a
And
scary basement.
like the Marley, the guy next door played by Robert's Blossom, and who's like real he's legitimately scared of this man, but they have such a tender moment later in the film at the church, which is really heartwarming. This movie has a good heart. It just there's so many terrible people in the McAllister family.
Goddamn parents.
And like Catherine O'Hara obviously gets a big spotlight on and off throughout the film as she's desperately trying to get home. It's just like this would have been easy if you just checked her kids, but whatever. And like the whole thing with John Candy.
Oh yeah, yep. I love how he's trying to comfort her.
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, I left my child home alone, all by himself," and he's just like, "Oh, oh,
Which I miss John Candy. He was great. But we haven't even talked about Joe Pesci
oh my
and
god."
Daniel Stern, the Wet Bandits, which I love their dynamic because Marv is an idiot.
Yep,
Harry is really like the brains of the operation.
yep.
And like, oh, because you left the water on in all these houses to be able to figure out every single one that you stole from.
Marv specifically was like, "It's our signature."
It's our signature. Which Daniel Stern is so funny in this. He's so aloof and idiotic, and then Joe Pesci is so much fun trying not to curse.
Yeah, he's doing the old timey cartoon thing
Yeah.
to avoid it. We love that.
Which this turns into an old timey
Yeah, it's
cartoon
slapstick. Who cares?
for the climax because they would both be dead.
Yeah,
Um, and just some of those things like
they're diabolical.
the ornaments and the nail,
Oh yeah, the tar.
the like red hot handle,
Yep,
and the torch on the head.
yep.
Just all of these things. The tarantula, which I know you were said about because of poor
It's
tarantula.
okay. He made it out ostensibly unscathed.
Yes, it's just they like Kevin is definitely Jigsaw. Like that is one of my favorite fan theories of any movie is that Kevin McAllister was Jigsaw.
I'm a Kevin McAllister apologist. I feel like if I was trying to defend my domicile, I probably would have come up with some jigsaw-esque
Hey,
crafts as
like
well.
he's trying to defend his home. Nobody's helping him.
Also, they keep coming.
The police just show up and knock on the door like,
Oh, I guess nobody's there.
yeah, and
Bye.
then so like nobody's there to help him. So this poor kid has to figure out how he's going to defend himself, and he defends himself well.
Boy, does he.
And then Marvin Harry take a like an old school metal
Oh yeah.
snow shovel to the face.
We love this steel. We have one actually. That shit's heavy.
Hmm. So Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, fantastic antagonists. This just had a lot of talent. Macaulay Culkin was so good in this. Chris Columbus, John Hughes, John Williams.
Mm,
It just has a lot of things that came together and made this like the highest grossing film of 1990, which is crazy.
I get it.
Which let me double check here. So this movie made $476 million worldwide
Wow.
on an $18 million budget.
That's almost enough to buy the house.
Oh my god, this came out November 18th, 1990.
You came
Almost
into the world.
1 year and 1 day hence. This is nominated for 2 Oscars, original song and original score.
Of course.
Who's surprised?
Mm.
But this is iconic holiday film at this point too.
Yep.
And yet, sure, there's things about it that we don't like the McAllister family. But
Are you supposed to? I feel like maybe not.
I just there's some logic issues with this movie, but once you get into it, it's a very satisfying, engaging, and fun ride.
Mhm.
But I guess Jess, do you have anything else to add about Home Alone?
No, just it's nostalgic at this point.
For
We
sure,
love
because it's
it.
almost 35 years old.
Don't.
So actually, I'll be celebrating my 34th birthday when this is celebrating its 35th anniversary. So there you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm doing some math.
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yes.
But that's a wrap here on the Wasteland Retrospective Yuletide edition. But Jess, thank you so much for coming on as always to talk movies.
It's a pleasure, Shane.
And I forgot to ask Jess what she wanted to watch for next month, so I don't have a teaser. So you'll have to sit in suspense.
The anxiety on my face when you said that.
Jess is gonna have to pick soon. Today. And
Oh no. Oh no.
But next week's episode, Mike decided to go Yuletide with Tokyo Godfathers. And then I'm like, if he's picking a Satoshi Kon film, I am too. And I picked Perfect Blue, which is not a Christmas movie and a really dark, demented movie,
I
but
love Tokyo
it'll
Godfathers.
be a very interesting conversation. But thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite holiday film to check out this time of year? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We have a lot of great shows here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network, including my 5 movie ones. And we have television, we have sports, we have music, we have physical media, we have comic books, and, just talking about life, like Jess did on Flicks and Chill with Luke. Which apparently is a very popular episode here on the SPDM Crew, so keep checking it out.
I'm just everyone's goofy little jester.
There you go. And thank you, HiFlyer Creative, for our logo. If you're in need of digital marketing and like their work, check them out. But thank you, as always, for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.